حي على الفلاح.
Happiness is most commonly defined as the continued feeling or state of delight, contentment, enjoyment, satisfaction, generosity, arising from contentment of oneself, life, and belief that they will have a blissful destiny. From Islamic perspective, the happiness is not merely a temporary state of joy and delight. Rather, it is a lifelong process aiming primarily at bringing eternal happiness, peace of mind, tranquility of heart, contentment in this world, and everlasting bliss in the hereafter. Many people attempt to follow complex paths in order to achieve happiness. However, they fail to see the easier path, that is Islam. Happiness can be achieved by sincere worship, competing to do righteous good deeds, and by performing acts of kindness or giving charity, bringing smile to the face of a child. These things have the potential to make our hearts truly happy. Ibn Taymiyyah said about contentment, he said, "Contentment is the greatest door that one enters to Allah. It is the source of tranquility for the worshipper and paradise on earth. Whoever does not enter it will not enter paradise in the hereafter." The secret to achieving contentment is putting our trust in our Creator, who disposes all of our affairs. We should believe that the all-merciful God plans that which is best for us. The state we are currently in is the best state for us. Had it was otherwise, all-merciful would not have chosen it for us. Absolute trust in God is the root of contentment, and contentment is one of the great keys to happiness. Contentment is prerequisites for happiness in life, and unfortunately, most of us don't have it. It is heartening to see that most of us have fallen into this trap. We are running behind materialistic gains at a maddening speed. We intend to drive expensive cars beyond our needs, not just for dependability, but for prestige, constant wanting to maintain our prestige, and lifestyle, which is the chief enemy of contentment, deceives us. The person wealthy is a person who does not feel needy towards something or someone in this world, regardless of how much he possesses in material, quantitative terms. Therefore, a person who is content is very wealthy because he does not feel he needs anything more. Wealth, appearance, children, house, and talents, you must be content with your share in these things. So hold that which I have given you and be of the grateful. Most Islamic scholars and pious Muslims of the early generations of Islam were poor. Needless it is to say, then, that they did not have beautiful houses or nice cars. Yet despite these disadvantages, they led fruitful lives, and they benefit mankind not by some miracle, but because they used all that they were given and spent their time in the correct way. Hence they were blessed in their lives, their time, and their talents. On the contrary, there are many people who have been bestowed with wealth, children, and all forms of blessings, yet these blessings have been the very reason for their misery and ruin They deviated from what their inborn instincts were telling them, namely, that material things are not everything. Look at those that have obtained degrees from world-renowned universities, and yet they're paragons of obscurity. Their talents and abilities remain unused. Meanwhile, others who are limited in the scope of their knowledge have managed to make mountains out of what they have been given, benefiting both themselves and society. If you're a seeker of happiness, be satisfied with the looks Allah has favored you with your family situation, with the sound of your voice, with the level of your understanding, with the amount of your salary. Certain educators go further than this by saying that you should imagine being contented with even less than you actually have now. Here for you is a list of those who have shown from our Islamic heritage despite each being challenged by various disadvantages. Ata ibn Rabah was a world-renowned scholar of his time. He was not only a freed slave and snub-nosed, but he was also paralyzed. Al-Ahnaf ibn Qais was famous among the Arabs for his singular level of patience. He achieved that fame despite being emaciated, humpbacked, with crooked legs and a fragile frame. Al-A'mash was among the most famous scholars of hadith in his time. He was a freed slave. He had bad eyesight and he was poor. His clothes were ripped. His appearance was disheveled. And he lived in straitened circumstances. In fact, every prophet was at one time or another a shepherd. Dawood was a blacksmith. Zechariah, a carpenter. And Idris, a tailor. And yet they were the best of mankind. Therefore, your value is in your abilities, good deeds, manners, and contributions to society. Do not feel grief over that which has passed you by in life in terms of good looks, wealth, or family, and be content with what Allah has allotted for you. It is we who portion out between them their livelihood in this world. Remind yourself of paradise, which is as wide as the heavens and the earth. If you're hungry in this world, if you're sad, ill, or oppressed, remember the eternal bliss of paradise. If you do this, then your losses are really profits, and the hardships you face are really gifts. The most wise of people are those that work for the hereafter, because it is better and everlasting. And the most foolish of mankind are those that see this world as their eternal abode. In it reside all their hopes. You will find such people to be the most grief-stricken of all when faced with calamity. They will be the most affected by worldly loss simply because they see nothing beyond the insignificant lives that they lead. They see and think only of this impermanent life. They wish for nothing to spoil them in their state of felicity. Were they to remove the veil of ignorance from their eyes, they would commune with themselves about the eternal abode, its bliss, pleasures, and castles. They would listen attentively when they are informed through the Quran and the Sunnah about its description. Indeed, that is the abode that deserves our attention and merits our striving and our toiling, so that we may achieve the best of it. Have we reflected at length about the description of the inhabitants of paradise? Illness does not befall them. Grief does not come near them. They die not. They remain young, and their attire remains both perfect and clean. They're in a beautiful home. In paradise is found that which no eyes has seen, no ear has heard, and no human mind has imagined. The writer travels under a tree in paradise for 100 years, and yet he still does not reach its end. The length of a tent in paradise is 60 miles. Its rivers are constant. Its castles are lofty, and its fruits are not only close by, but are also easily picked. Therein will be a running spring. Therein will be thrones raised high, and cups set at hand, and cushions set in rows, and carpets all spread out. The happiness of paradise will be absolute, so why do we not contemplate this fact? If paradise is our final destination, and we ask Allah for paradise, then the hardships of this world are less heavy than they may seem. So let the hearts of the afflicted ones find solace. You who live in poverty or are afflicted with calamity, work righteous deeds so that you shall live in Allah's paradise. Peace is upon you because you persevered in patience. Excellent indeed is the final hornet. True happiness is not about acquiring the wealth, fame, prestige, status, and satisfying one's desire. Rather, it is achieved by accumulating the pleasures of the body, heart, and soul. Islam is the only religion that stresses the need for enrichment of both material and spiritual values simultaneously. Every commandment of Almighty in all aspects of life, worship, economics, and society aims to bring happiness to the individual. Following the teachings of Islam and striving to please Allah is a major source of happiness, and turning away from Him only leads to unhappiness, misery, and discontentment. Almighty said, "But whosoever turns away from my reminder, that is, neither believes in this Quran nor acts on its teachings, verily for him is a life of hardship, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection." The guidelines provided by Islam helps us seek happiness in this world. However, the point worth noting is that the total peace, tranquility, and security and everlasting happiness can only be in paradise, where there will be no fear, anxiety, and pain which we human experience in this worldly life. Therefore, the key to being happy in this world and the next is seeking the pleasure of Almighty, drawing near to Allah by whatever of it pleases Him. For those seeking the happiness, it is essential to strive to protect the heart and be watchful of how they spend their day and night, asking themselves if they are pleased with what Allah has ordained. It is very imperative to emphasize the necessity of adopting contentment as a way of living, because it is expensive of richness, happiness, tranquility, and satisfaction. In light of the mentioned, we are able to draw the conclusion that happiness is purely our decision. We have the choice to be happy and content, or to remain an unfortunate victim of our current situation, as we are responsible for our own happiness. The humanity is desperately looking for the solution to all the problems that the world is facing today at every front. The remedy is with us Muslims, the carriers of the last divine message, the Quran. It is high time to reach to humanity, reeling from the illness of body and soul, and convey the soul message of Almighty, guaranteeing the peace of mind, tranquility, eternal happiness, and contentment in this life, and everlasting bliss in the hereafter.